Come on in, come on in. It's time for Tea Talk with Dr. T live on YouTube. Welcome to our Sunday night time together, sis. Let's do this. Let's talk about who are you? Do you even know anymore? Do you even know who you are anymore? So hit your sis up, send the link to her. Let's do this together. Let's get through a nice cup of hot tea together and have this conversation. Let's talk about who do we really see when we look at ourselves in the mirror? Who is in that mirror when you look back at you? That beautiful reflection that you see, who is she? So go ahead, grab that hot tea, grab your notebook, because of course you know I'm gonna give you some homework. You should have done your homework already from last week. But send the link to a sister, because she needs to hear this too. Who are you? Do you even know anymore when you see yourself in that mirror? So I wanna know if you shared the link with your sister so she can watch this with you. So here's what I want you to do. Here's the first part of your homework. After we finish tonight, you have a whole week to have this conversation with your sister. So you all can talk about, that's the purpose of our tea talks. Because I not only want to have this conversation with you, I want you to have this conversation with another sister too. Because she needs to know that the beautiful reflection that she sees in the mirror, she needs to know that woman again. She needs to learn to love that woman again. She needs to become the woman she used to dream about. She hasn't been forgotten. You just need to reconnect to her. So let's talk about it. Are y'all ready to get started? My hubby made my tea tonight for me. So thanks, hubby, for the tea. So let's get started. How did we actually lose ourselves? That's what I want to start with the question tonight. When you look at yourself in the mirror, sis, who's looking back at you? Who do you actually see? Do you even recognize that woman in the mirror? You know, the woman that's staring back at you. Not the woman that everybody else sees. Not the strong one, not the responsible one, not the caregiver, not the peacemaker, not the fixer. Who do you actually see when you look at yourself in the mirror? Yep, who's that woman? Do you even recognize her? Do you remember the hopes and dreams and aspirations that she had when she was younger? Before life started lifing, before everybody else's issues started showing up, what did she used to dream about? What did she used to envision for her life? Who did she used to see herself being? The places she would go, the things that she would do, the things that she could check off on her to-do list. Who did she dream of being? And is she still there? Or have you just allowed yourself to become everything to everybody except for you? Sis, who takes care of you when you're busy taking care of everybody else? Who shows up for you when you're busy showing up for everybody else? So I want you to think about it as we go through our time together tonight. I want you to think about this. You learned who you needed to be for everybody else. Let me say that again. You learned who you needed to be for everybody else. And as a result, you taught people how to treat you that way. The very thing that keeps you anxious, the very thing that keeps you depressed, the very thing that keeps you disconnected from yourself, let's just be honest, you set it up this way because you learned to be needed. I know, take a sip off that. That was a lot to take in. You learned to be needed. You learned how to be the fixer. You learned how to be the peacemaker. You learned how to be plan A. You learned how to be the answer. And can I tell you when you learned how to do all of that? You learned it early on. See, as women, particularly Black women, We have learned early on how to take care of everybody else. It was ingrained in us. We learned that we were supposed to show up for our younger siblings. We learned that we were supposed to take care of the house. We learned that we were supposed to keep our mouths closed and do what we needed to do for everybody else. We learned how not to allow our feelings to interrupt the things that we were supposed to do for everybody else. We learned how to do that. And some of us learned how to do that early on. And because it was learned early on, it became a part of how we show up in the world. Yeah. And we came to be the woman we are today, not because it was intentional, but it was taught to us. So we learned to be needed. And just as you learn to be needed, you can learn how to be unneeded. You can learn how to put yourself first, but it's going to require you to be intentional. I want you to also think about this. As you learn to be needed, what roles did you learn to accept? Did you learn to accept that at this stage in your life, your piece doesn't matter? That you just don't, you've been doing this for so long that you don't matter anymore? Did you learn that your heart's desires, your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations were not important as long as you were doing whatever it was you needed to do for everybody else? See, life changes your roles, but here's the problem. Some of you won't let go of those roles. Some of you have taken on those roles to mean that this is how you have to be for the rest of your life. And in midlife, can I be honest with you? That's not what it means. In midlife, it's actually your time for you to reconnect with yourself. See, midlife brings us these issues. If this is you, just type it in the chat for me. This is me. Here we go. You ready? Midlife brings your children growing up. How many of you are now empty nesters because your children have grown up? Midlife brings aging parents. How many of you have parents that you're taking care of on some level? Our generation is called the sandwich generation. Here's why. Because we have parents that we're taking care of, and we also have grandkids that we're taking care of as well. And we're sandwiched in the middle, still young enough to work. So we got this over here pulling at us one way, which is our parents who are aging. And of course, we're wanting what's best for them and taking care of their needs. And we also got these grandkids pulling at us going, golly, we've got grandkids now. But here you are in the middle, still pushing your hopes, dreams, and aspirations to the side while you go to work day in and day out. Is that you? Is that you dealing with the aging parents and the grandkids? Oh, it may be you who's going through a divorce right now. Life showed up and life was life, and you and your spouse decided, you know what? I don't even like you anymore. So now we're getting a divorce. That happens in midlife. Or maybe it's you, just like a whole bunch of us, sis, who are going through menopause. That's right. For some of us, it showed up busting down the door, kicking in the door. You were like, what the heck is this? And for some of you, it showed up very slowly, very quietly. But now you find yourself in menopause. Life changes. Here's another life change. Some of us have health issues now. High blood pressure, diabetes. Some of us may be battling not lupus. Some of us may be battling autoimmune deficiencies now that were not there before, right? Some of us have health challenges that we're dealing with now in midlife. Some of us may be dealing with grief and loss. Yeah, we've lived long enough now to where we're experiencing grief and loss in our lives. Some of us may be experiencing retirement. Yes, woo woo. Congratulations if that's you. I got a few more months. I'm counting them down, 30 more months. But life changes. So as you're looking at the woman in the mirror going, who is she? You've got to remember that this stage in your life changes, and so do your roles. But some of those roles, you've got to let go of them. So you may be asking yourself, who am I now? I was a mom. Yeah, you're still a mom, but you're not needed at the level of motherhood that you were needed before. I'm still a wife. Yes, but now's the time for you to love on yourself as a wife. I'm still a grandmother. Yes, you are. But these roles are not who you are. And for some of us in midlife, we put on those roles like they're a superwoman cape. And we walk around with the roles meaning more to us than we even mean to ourselves. Take a sip off that, sis. It's okay. Some of us have become so good at functioning that we've forgotten how to feel. Let me say that one more time. Some of us have gotten so good at functioning that we've actually forgotten how to feel. You function by going to work. You function by going to church. You function with a smile on your face, acting like everything's okay, but really underneath everything, you a hot mess. You a hot mess. You function by posting on Facebook so everybody sees your highlight reels, but really don't know what's really going on with you. Remember, I posted last week, I asked you in a Facebook post, how are you really doing, sis? Not the stuff that people see on the outside, but how are you really doing here? And how are you really doing here? See, some of y'all are real good at functioning because you function by taking care of everybody else. You function by lying to yourself and showing up for everybody else so you don't have to deal with the real you inside of you. Because here's the thing, you're still confused, you're still feeling lost, and you're still feeling numb. That's how you function. But starting today, we're no longer functioning. We're going to learn how to feel. You know, the woman that looks in the mirror, when she could actually feel life pulsating inside of her, she could actually feel excitement when she thought of the things that she hoped and dreamed of. She actually felt excitement to get up in the morning and go do something she actually loved doing. She actually felt excitement when she looked forward to the weekend to do something for herself instead of just laying in the bed to recover from the week that she's had. Yeah, I'm talking about you, sis, the one that is looking back at you in the mirror. Here's the thing. You're constantly asking yourself, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? You look in the mirror and you don't recognize the woman you see and you're asking yourself, what's wrong with me? Can I help you, sis? There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. You've just disconnected yourself from yourself. That's all. There's nothing wrong with you. You just need to learn how to connect yourself back to yourself. You feel like everyone knows who you are except for you. You feel like this person knows you as the counselor. This person knows you as the teacher. This person knows you as the bank. This person knows you as mother. This person knows you as boss. This person knows you as the Uber. This person knows you as the nurse because they weren't paying attention when they went to the doctor and you were paying attention to everything. So now you're nurse part 2. That's how all of these people know you. But how do you know you? When you look at yourself in the mirror, do you see yourself as the beautiful woman that you are? Or do you see yourself as the way other people know you, with all of the titles? So here are 5 signs that you don't know who you are anymore. You got your notebook? I know you got your tea. Do you have your notebook? Here are the 5 signs that you don't know who you are. Sign number 1. The simple question that I always ask, I told y'all this last week, is the first question I always ask women when they come to coaching with me or counseling with me. What do you want? That's the first question. That's a sign that you don't know you anymore, when you can't answer that question. When you can't answer the question, what you want, when you can't answer the question, what you need, when you can't answer the question, what brings you joy, when you can't answer the question, what's fun for you, when you can't answer that basic question about you, that's the first sign that you don't know you anymore. When you can't answer, what do I even want? Yeah, that's a sign that you don't know you. Yeah, think about that for a second. If I were to ask you, what do you do to have fun? What do you do to relax? What do you do that brings you peace? Can you answer that for you? Not what you think is the answer, but truly what's the answer for you. Here's the second sign that you don't even know who you are anymore. If I were to ask you to give me 5 things that you absolutely love about yourself, that has nothing to do with anybody else. Oh, I love being a grandmother. No. That has to do with your grandchildren. Oh, I love making other people happy. No. That has to do with other people. Give me 5 things that you love about yourself. When you can't rattle off 5 things that you love about yourself, you don't know who you are anymore. If I were to ask you to give me 10 things that you hate about yourself or that you want to change about yourself, you can rattle them off just like that. But you can't give me 5 things that you absolutely love about yourself in midlife. You know, midlife, the magic time of your life. Yeah, that's a sign that you don't know who you are anymore. Here's the third sign that you don't know who you are anymore. You are always exhausted. And we talked about this in depth last week and the week before that too. You are exhausted. You're exhausted mentally, you're exhausted physically, you're exhausted emotionally. That's a sign, sis, that you don't even know who you are anymore. When you let yourself go to the point of exhaustion and you don't do what you need to do to refuel yourself, to refill yourself, to allow your cup to flow so that people get your overflow and you're not serving them from an empty cup, that's a sign that you don't know who you are anymore. Many of us have traveled on planes, and one of the first things that they tell us as they're going through the safety guidelines to tell us how to be safe on the plane, they said, should the airplane experience turbulence to the point to where the cabin loses air pressure, mask will fall from the ceiling, and you are to do what with your mask? That's right. You're to put it on yourself first. Why? Because if you don't take care of you first, you can't take care of everybody else. That's not selfish, that's self-preservation. And so the greatest sign of self-love, the greatest sign of self-care is taking care of you first. And there's nothing selfish about it. So, let me ask this. When was the last time you felt good? When was the last time you had energy? When was the last time you felt like you could go and just go a whole day without drinking a Celsius, without drinking a Red Bull, without drinking an energy Monster, without having 3, 4, 5 cups of coffee, without drinking 2 Cokes? When was the last time you were ever ready to do that? When, right? So if you don't have that type of energy, then guess what? That might be a sign that you don't know who you are anymore because you're not doing what you need to do to refill yourself. Here's the fourth sign that you may not know who you are, right? Here it is. Whew, y'all. You're constantly asking yourself, and I said this already, what's wrong with you? And I told you there's nothing wrong with you. You need to connect back to yourself. For some of you, it's not even connecting back to yourself. For some of you, it's actually connecting to yourself. Because you've gone so long and you learned so early on to take care of everybody else that you never really tapped into your own self. So that's the fourth sign that you don't even know yourself anymore. You feel disconnected from who you really are. You're just going through the motions. You're just functioning and not feeling, right? Here's the fifth sign. You feel like, I can't even answer it. That if people were to actually ask you about you, to do something for you, you wouldn't be able to even answer it. Like you would get stuck answering the question. Like you would change the question for it to be significant to somebody else other than you. That's it. Like you would change the subject. Like you couldn't even carry on a conversation about yourself before you switch it to your grandkids, before you switch it to your kids, before you switch it to your parents, before you switch it to your coworkers, before you switch it to something else. You can't even carry on a conversation about you. It feels abnormal to have a conversation about you. That's sign number 5, that you don't even know who you are anymore. Right. Think about that for a second. You can't even carry on a 10-minute conversation about you. That often happens when I'm coaching and counseling women, that the session starts about them, but they want to transition the session to be about somebody else. And I have to bring them back to themselves, because they've allowed the conversation, or they've allowed the conversation to drift, because it feels so natural to talk about somebody else. No. The conversation needs to be about you. This time for us to be about on Sunday evenings is for me to have a conversation with you, but I want you to also have a conversation with your sister. I want you to be able to sit down and talk with your sister about what she's experiencing, about what you're experiencing, because we don't spend enough time talking to each other about each other. We skate it over. We talk about the kids, we talk about the spouse, we talk about the parents, we talk about the grandkids, but we don't talk about ourselves. That's why it's so hard to look at you in the mirror and recognize who you really are. So here's the good news, sis. Here's the good news. You're not broken. You just need to reconnect. So I've got some questions. This is your homework. This is your Tea Talk homework. And I want you to answer these questions over the course of the next couple of days. You may not be able to answer them tonight, which is great. That's fine. I want you to spend time in your own head. I want you to spend time in your own heart. I want you to spend time in your own mind and your soul and your spirit. So here are the questions that I want you to journal and think about for yourself as you go through the next couple of days. And I wrote them down because I didn't want to forget what they were. Okay? So I want you to write them down for you. Here's the first question. All right? Question number 1. Who was I before I became everything to everybody else? Who was I? I was a dreamer. I was a writer. I was a runner. I was an exercise nut that I loved to be in the gym. I was a reader. I loved to read books. Who were you before you learned how to be everything to everybody else? That's the first question. You got that one down, sis, in your journal? All right, here's the second question. What parts of myself have I abandoned? What part of myself have I abandoned? Have I abandoned my wants? Have I abandoned my needs? Have I abandoned my dreams, my hopes, and my aspirations? Have I abandoned the fact that I used to love to go on vacation once a quarter and spend time by myself in a new city? Have I abandoned that? Have I abandoned my love and my joy for cooking and baking because I don't have time to do that anymore because I'm busy being an Uber driver and a taxi driver? Have I abandoned my love for writing because I don't have a quiet space to do that anymore? What have you abandoned in your life, sis? That's the second question. Here's the third question. If I give myself permission, yeah, a big word for you, sis. If I give myself permission to live, to laugh, and to be me, what would I want next? If I give myself permission to live, to laugh, and to be me, what would I want next? That's a heavy question because some of you haven't laughed in a long time. Some of you stopped living years ago. And I mean living for yourself. I mean living fully. I mean living limitless. Some of you stopped doing that. So tonight, that third question, if You gave yourself permission because you've given permission to everybody else. But if you gave yourself permission to live, to laugh, and to be authentically you, what would you want to do next? Would you want to travel? Would you want to build a she shed in the back of your yard and let that be your own little quiet spot? Would you want to learn how to do yoga? Would you want to learn how to cook, to bake? What would you do if you gave yourself permission? That's it, sis. As you can see that rain falling down crazy in the back. Yep, it's time to finish this tea up and enjoy some quiet time. That's my hopes for you tonight, sis. And I hope that until the next time we come together, same time next week, that you make sure that you put you on your list. You should be at the top of your own list. So until next week, listen, make sure you're at the top of your own list. I'll see you next week. Take care.